My name is Katie, and I work as a nurse. My husband, Jack, is currently a stay-at-home husband. He used to have a job at a company but resigned because of conflicts with his new boss. When he first told me he had quit, I was upset since he hadn't discussed it with me beforehand, but I tried to be optimistic, thinking maybe it was better he left before things got worse for him. Although Jack isn't bringing in an income now, I have a steady job, and we live in a house that my mother left me after she passed away, so we don't have to worry about rent. We're doing fine financially. Initially, I felt anxious and stressed about Jack not working, but he's been handling the housework really well, and over time, I started to feel more at ease with the situation. One afternoon, I came home from work to find Jack's sister, Brittany, visiting. "Welcome home, sweetheart," Jack said. "I hope work wasn't too tough today." "Oh, I should have told you earlier, Brittany is here. Sorry about that." I felt a bit frustrated that Jack hadn't mentioned her visit ahead of time, but seeing him so cheerful softened me. "I get it, but next time, just give me a heads up," I replied. Jack nodded and reassured me that he would let me know in the future, then turned to Brittany, letting her know it was time to head out. Brittany, however, said, "I don't feel like leaving just yet. There's plenty of room here, so I'd like to stay the night." Jack looked nervous and quickly responded, "No, Brittany, that's not happening. You need to go home today." Brittany shot me an annoyed glance before walking out. I couldn't help but wonder why Brittany had come over, especially knowing she'd just gone through a tough divorce. She'd moved back into my parents' small apartment, and they were pressuring her to find work and contribute to the bills, which had made her feel unwelcome. I felt a bit sorry for her. After she left, I shared my thoughts with Jack. I didn't understand why he seemed so worried about her. Jack explained, "I'm sorry about today. I've been struggling to find a job and just needed someone to talk to, so I invited her over." I was frustrated by Jack's thoughtlessness, but tried to be understanding. "It's fine to have company when you're feeling down, but please let me know ahead of time and make sure she leaves before I get home next time." I wondered if I was being too lenient but made it clear that I needed more communication from him. After that, I didn't bring it up again. 2 days later, while I was at work, Jack sent me a text. "Hey, hope your day's going well. Brittany wants to come over again. Is that okay with you? You're working until 9 p.m., right?" I was uneasy about how long Brittany might stay, but since Jack promised she'd be gone by 9, I reluctantly agreed, replying, "That's fine, just make sure she leaves as soon as possible." Honestly, I didn't want Brittany over, but seeing how much it cheered Jack up made me more willing to allow it. Work got super hectic that day, and I completely forgot Brittany was coming over. When I got home later, I found Brittany still there. "Why are you still here?" I asked, clearly irritated. Jack, seeing my frustration, quickly apologized. "I'm so sorry, we lost track of time while talking. She's leaving now." Brittany, looking annoyed, said, "Yeah, I'm heading out." She packed up her things and left with an exaggerated sigh. Her attitude bothered me, and I snapped, "What's her problem? This isn't her house. Doesn't she have any respect?" Jack responded, "You're being too hard on her. She just wanted to be here for me." I thought to myself that they could have met somewhere else, but I was too exhausted to argue. "You're right. Sorry, I've had a long day. I'm going to bed." Jack looked like he had more to say, but I was too tired to continue the conversation and went to sleep. The following day, which was my day off, Jack brought it up again. "I'm really sorry about yesterday," he said. "I know I should have been more considerate of both you and Brittany. We hadn't had much time to really talk lately, so I decided to approach this with more understanding. I see now that I've been so busy that I haven't made time for us to connect. I did overreact last night, and I apologize." Jack seemed relieved that we were talking things through. "I'm glad we cleared the air. I'm actually making your favorite, meatball pasta. It'll be ready soon." As Jack continued cooking, his phone rang. "Who's calling?" I asked. "It's Brittany," he answered, not sure what she needs. I had a bad feeling and wasn't keen on him answering, but I suggested it might be important. Jack glanced at me for approval before picking up the call. I couldn't hear Brittany's side of the conversation, but it didn't last long. When Jack hung up, I asked, "What did she want?" "She said she has something to tell me and is coming over right now." I felt irritated. It was my day off, and I didn't feel like dealing with her, but since she was already on her way, there wasn't much I could do. Jack, oblivious to my annoyance, cheerfully said, "I'll make some pasta for Brittany too," and carried on cooking. 10 minutes later, the doorbell rang. To my surprise, Brittany stood there with a large suitcase. given how far she lived. I had a sinking feeling, but let her in anyway. Jack was still busy in the kitchen. I asked Brittany, "What's happening?" With tear-stained eyes, Brittany replied, "I got kicked out of my parents' house. They said I have no right to stay there because I'm not contributing financially. Can you believe that? Aren't they just the worst?" My gut feeling worsened as she spoke. Jack chimed in, "That's so unfair. Family is supposed to support each other. They really are horrible." I was frustrated by Jack's reaction but held my tongue since it wasn't directly my problem. Brittany then announced, "I don't have anywhere else to stay, so I want to move in here." I really didn't want Brittany staying with us and tried to refuse, but before I could say anything, Jack jumped in with, "Well, there's no other option. You can stay with us. Fortunately, we have an extra room, so you can move in right away." I glared at Jack. "Why that face?" he asked. "Brittany needs our help." I couldn't keep quiet any longer and said, "What are you doing, Jack? You can't make decisions like this by yourself. You're not working, and neither is Brittany. I can't support the both of you on my salary." Suddenly, something hit my head, and I was stunned. Brittany laughed and said, "Jack, stop throwing eggs at her." She burst into hysterical laughter, and when I touched my hair, I found eggshells. Jack smirked and said, "It's your fault. Mary, you should be kinder to Brittany. If you keep being rude, we're getting a divorce, and if we divorce, you know you'll have to leave this house." Both Jack and Brittany stared at me with smug expressions, thinking I was defeated. Jack said, "Mary, are you ready to say sorry? If you apologize, go wash up, and we'll have the meatball pasta I made and talk about how we'll live together." Jack returned happily to cooking, while Brittany made herself comfortable on the couch, snickering as she watched TV. I had plenty to say, but instead, I grabbed Brittany's suitcase and threw it off the balcony. They were both shocked and yelled, "What are you doing? Are you crazy?" Jack panicked and told me to retrieve the luggage, but I responded, "Why should I? This is my house. I won't let this go any further." I stood my ground, saying, "Jack, this house belongs to both of us. As husband and wife, I have every right to say who stays here." Jack laughed and replied, "What's so funny? Don't you realize this house belongs to me?" I calmly said, "Actually, my mother left it to me, so you have no claim to it." Jack and Brittany both looked stunned. "What? No way, that can't be true," they muttered. "Even if it is," they began, "we're married, so it's ours." I cut in, "This house is mine. If you want to live with Brittany so badly, why don't you two find a place of your own? And why should I support two people who aren't working?" "Jack, you worked hard before you quit, so I didn't complain, but now you're not even helping around the house. Honestly, I'd rather live by myself." After hearing my honest thoughts, Jack replied, "Oh really? Is that how you feel? Well, I don't want a wife who doesn't support my family and can't even appreciate the effort I put into keeping the house." He then pulled out divorce papers. They were neatly prepared, and I realized Brittany must have been behind the idea. "I've already signed my part," Jack said. "All you have to do is sign yours. Take some time to think it over. Let me know when you're ready to apologize." With that, both of them left. I quickly took a shower, signed the divorce papers, and submitted them. I knew Jack and Brittany had only made them to scare me, but I wasn't interested in being with a husband who would scheme against his wife. A few days later, Jack called and asked, "Are you ready to say sorry?" I was furious and replied, "Why should I? Shouldn't you be the one apologizing?" Jack's arrogant tone made me even more irritated. I told him, "Why are you even calling me? You're just a stranger now." He replied, "What are you talking about? Are you feeling okay?" It was clear Jack didn't understand the situation, so I calmly explained, "I filed the divorce papers. It's final. We're no longer married. Also, I've sold the house, so it won't matter even if you want to come back. I quit my job and moved on. I sent all your belongings to your parents' place. They should arrive soon. I hope they'll have enough room." Jack sounded confused and started arguing with someone on his end. I finished by saying, "You're the one who asked for a divorce, remember? I have nothing more to say. I'm going to block your number now. Goodbye." As Jack yelled on the other end, I hung up and blocked his number. Months later, I found myself in the area where I used to live. While shopping, I spotted someone who looked like Jack working at a grocery store. He seemed to have made a mistake, and a much younger woman was reprimanding him. "How many times do I have to tell you? Get it right," she snapped, while other workers chuckled. I felt a bit sorry for him, but he was a stranger to me now. Maybe if he had handled things with Brittany better, things could have turned out differently. Regardless, I was glad I divorced him. Life as a single person was far more fulfilling. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video, and stay tuned.